Hey, what's up with it, guys? Hey, welcome back to another video. Now, I wanted to make this one here. I've gotten a couple questions about talent builds and things like that, and so I wanted to go over a few talent builds for you guys, the builds that I'm using currently, some things to kind of be aware of as we get later into phase 1 and all of that fun stuff. So, first and foremost, let's talk about my go-to PVE build. Now, this is for raid scenarios. Improve Fairy Fire and even like improve Mark and Thorns is not really super necessary in my opinion in 5-mans. The 5-man content is relatively easy if you're doing it with a coordinated group. So these can be obviously helpful, but are not absolutely necessary. So unless you're raiding, all these points I'm going to mention here aren't super relevant. But with this build, we obviously can get improved Mark of the Wild. We have Brambles here for the improved Thorns damage. And we also have improved Fairy Fire, which is arguably our biggest value add to the raid in a lot of situations on top of Moonkin form. So that being said, this is my go-to setup here for all raid scenarios. We don't have Celestial Focus and we do not have Control of Nature, both of which talents I like to have outside of raid. So that brings me here to my PvP open world arena full deep balance build setup that I've been playing. And it's the talents that you see here. We basically are taking Fairy Fire, putting those 3 points up into Celestial Focus, and we're taking Brambles and putting those 3 points up to Control of Nature. Now, you can switch around some of these points. You could also definitely be running Furor if you're more inclined to like shifting the bear and things like that. One thing I would mention is that the majority of the time that I am shifting into bear is to bash, and with intensity, you're able to enrage bash like almost immediately. So for that reason, there's not a huge value add to Furor because we don't have any extra points, right? Remember, this used to be improved enrage and you had to put like 2 points in it to instantly get rage when you hit enrage. That's baked into this intensity talent. So for that reason, I don't find it super valuable, and I find that I have Mark of the Wild up, and most of the time I'm casting and doing damage and gaining a lot more value over the course of virtually any content, not to mention it's also buffing the value of this on your arena team or your BG, partners, whoever you're playing with. So I have been leaning towards doing improved Mark of the Wild in this top row, but you can change that if you really want to. Now, one other kind of mention here is that Balance of Power, while this is a go-to talent for us when it comes to raiding, as getting the 4% hit is massive, in a PvP scenario, you really only need about 3% hit. Arguably, some other classes have some talents and things like that. I only mention this because I don't plan on doing it, but it definitely would be an option if you have certain pieces of gear that you only have like one piece in that slot and you have a lot of hit, you have like 60 hit rating on top of this talent in PvP. It's a bunch of overkill stats. So in those scenarios, you could actually lose a point or two from here and throw them in something else, whether it be improved Nature's Grasp, whether it be subtlety to kind of help for your dot protection, things like that. There's options there if you want to do that. You definitely can also be taking some points out of Moon Fury and Wrath of Cenarius if you want to throw into subtlety. Again, if you need that kind of like dispel protection, and you're going to obviously be reducing your damage down a little bit, but it might be worth it depending on what kind of comp you're running or if you're having a hard time with priests and things like that. So this right here is the go-to setup I've been playing with, but just wanted to kind of point out some options. Now, an alternative build that I actually did play a good amount on the beta is this Feral Charge balance build. Now, this is obviously a more PvP-centric type playstyle and build, but unfortunately, we aren't able to pick up Celestial Focus. We do have improved Bash, which is absolutely huge. We have Thick Hide, which is going to contribute to your armor values also in Moonkin form, very valuable. And Feral Charge, arguably one of the strongest PvP abilities that we have access to as a Druid. It's absolutely insane. And you want to take Furor with this build so that you can insta-shift in Feral Charge like in one, basically global. Now, one big kind of flaw or issue with this is you don't have natural shapeshifter and you don't have intensity. So both of those things in combination with each other are going to be very mana intensive over the course of a fight. This is a very strong like 1v1, 2v2 type setup, but you will go noticeably quicker than the previous builds that I've mentioned, just because of not having these two is a pretty big deal, as most of the time you're shifting a lot, and the passive just mana regeneration that you get from this over a whole BG or a whole arena match is pretty significant. So I just wanted to mention this, though. I think maybe as we get better gear and things like that, this might be a better build or a more prominent build that we see. But until we kind of can get a little bit beefier when it comes to our overall just base stats. This is going to be a little bit tougher to pull off, and you're not going to have very much longevity with this build. However, it is really, really fun. You can do some really good combos with Feral Charge into a full bash, into like a hard cast Starfire. You can do all kinds of really fun stuff. It's a super fun build to play. Very, very strong in open world and like smaller dual type environments. Now, the last thing I want to mention here is Celestial Focus, because I think this talent, I mean, I know for me, the vast majority of so far in TBC leveling and stuff, I was playing a build similar to this, and I was not running Celestial Focus. Since we don't need it for the Starfire cast reduction like we did previously, I haven't been needing it in like a PvE environment very much. But I do want to mention for PvP, as we get a few weeks into the arena season and people are picking up their 4 set for balanced druids, this is going to be a very, very, very strong talent for PvP. Reason being is that 4 set bonus for the PvP set is going to have your Wrath giving you a chance to proc a massively reduced cast Starfire. So being able to have the cast interruption or like avoidance, whatever you want to call it, interruption protection, where you're able to cast Wrath faster and more frequently, allowing you to overall get more opportunities at getting the Starfire proc. Then when you do get that Starfire proc, having a chance to have that stun on like a 1-second cast if you have a Nature's Grace proc, it's absolutely insane. Like the synergy with this is just going to be so sick, and like you can basically bait out this proc, pop an unused trinket, and just like blow people up instantly. It's super fun, a really, really satisfying set bonus, and it synergizes so well with Celestial Focus. So while you might not be getting a ton of value from this in the first few weeks of the arena season, just be aware as you start getting that arena gear and you do get that 4 set, if you do commit to full balance PvP, this is going to be absolutely insane when paired together. So hopefully that helps, guys. My raid build, my go-to arena PvP build currently, and another alternative if you want to mix it up and have some fun with Feral Charge. Now, the last thing is I do actually switch these. I switch between my builds a lot. I respec because our respec cost is relatively low given how easy it is to farm gold compared to classic. So I do respec, you know, after raid, I go my PvP open world build and I play this for 3 or 4 days, and then I respec back and I play this for raid. And depending on what I'm doing, I'll swap back and forth. So I am swapping these builds pretty consistently, maybe once or twice a week. So I'm sure that was probably be a question. So anyways, thanks for hanging out, guys. Like always, I do appreciate it. Let me know if I have anything that I missed, any questions you guys have, clarifications, talent points, things that you might be taking that I'm not taking. Let me know what builds you guys are playing down below. Like always, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.